All right, so this is very, very exciting. If you just give me a minute, I'm going to share this live stream with my Facebook group. It's going to be so exciting because this is what I've been doing in the last few years to make money from teaching and creating and selling products. And I'm going to go all out and share with you how I've been able to do it so that you can do the same. So let me just share this quickly with my Facebook group. But you know what? In the meantime, maybe you can think about these questions while I'm getting set up. Um, what is the most useful knowledge that you have? What knowledge has enabled you to make money? Who are the people who could benefit from your knowledge? What is your favorite way to share your knowledge? Is it through a Zoom session? Is it through an ebook? Is it through a video course? So think about these questions while I'm getting set up. All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and let's get started. It's around 3 o'clock, and so I'm very happy to share with you everything that I've done. I'll share as much as possible, all my secrets, all my techniques, my frameworks. I'm gonna make sure that you have all the knowledge so that if I get hit by a truck tomorrow, you're gonna know everything you need to know in order to make money from your knowledge. So that is my promise to you. And so let's get started. And of course, when you watch this as a replay, or whenever you're watching it, just ask me questions in the YouTube comments and I will answer as quickly as I can. So why are we doing this workshop today? It's because with artificial intelligence, it's going to become very clear to most people and eventually to everyone that the knowledge that you have, which currently allows you to do your job, it's going to be taken over by artificial intelligence. So let me just write it here as a text. So this workshop can actually become, wow, an ebook or even a textbook. So let me just set up my voice here. Yeah, sorry about that. So the reason why we are doing this workshop on how you can monetize your knowledge is that eventually everyone will realize that artificial intelligence is going to take over all the knowledge work that people are typically doing in offices behind a computer. And so your knowledge, my knowledge, will basically become obsolete. And so we have to find obsolete. So we have to find a way to capture and monetize our knowledge as quickly as possible in the next few months, so that we can generate an income. But the good news is that if you do this correctly, then you will be able to learn, like very much like learning how to ride a bike. You will learn how to create information products and knowledge products so that you can generate a second source of income for yourself and for your family, even if you lose your office job, your professional job in 2026 or 2027. And so I'll be sharing with you my actual experience of how I was able to monetize my knowledge. And I'm going to go through each case study as much as possible and give you the framework that you can use to quickly and easily create knowledge. Now, if you're like most people, you might resist this idea that you're able to, create knowledge, to create money from knowledge, but I guarantee you that it's not that hard. If you can talk, if you can speak, if you can communicate in any language, then you can start to make money from your knowledge. But before we talk about how you can make money from teaching and creating information products, we have to understand that there are basically 5 ways to make money: services, teaching, selling, creating products, consulting. So these are the 5 basic ways to make money, and I think most professionals have only focused on services, even though most people are able to teach what it is that they know. So it's important to understand that teaching is just talking, but you only mention the knowledge that you have, which is valuable to the other person. And oftentimes you don't know exactly what is valuable to the other person, which is why a Zoom session called Ask Me Anything is very valuable, because people can ask you all the questions, and from their questions you will know what kind of knowledge, what kind of answers they're looking for. And this will help you to structure your video course, your Zoom webinars, etc. So that's the easy way to discover the knowledge that you have that is most valuable to people, because they wouldn't ask you a question about it if they didn't think that it was important. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to give you the framework that I used to create 40 workshops and 7 college level courses where I was teaching professional sales, starting a business, sales representation, email marketing, online marketing research, project management. The first letter stands for framework. And the reason why a framework is important is that it gives your students a kind of structure so that they can easily hang all the information and they can quickly organize all the knowledge that you're giving them so that they have a permanent memory. And so we'll talk about this framework later on, but it can be an acronym, it can be a geometric figure like a circle or a triangle, it can be a diagram, etc. The second letter stands for actions, and so you have to specify in as much detail as possible the actions that you took in order to produce the results that you've achieved. The third letter stands for results, and this is a requirement because if you have not been able to produce positive results in your life, in your career, in your business, in your investment journey, then you can't really be an effective teacher because you haven't been able to succeed yourself. On the other hand, any result that you're able to achieve qualifies you as a teacher of some kind. The fourth letter stands for manageability and measurement and monitoring. And this is an important pillar of your strategy because no matter how good you are as a teacher, you have to assume that students are going to make mistakes. And so you have to give them a way or a system so that they can measure, monitor, and manage their mistakes. And therefore, they spot their own mistakes and they can keep improving all the time. Without a system or process for monitoring, measuring, and managing their results and actions and processes, they would not be able to improve. And as a result, they would depend on you as a teacher forever. So you want to give them a simple system for tracking their results and immediately identifying what they can do better or identifying mistakes that they're making. Just to give you an example, I once created a virtual training company, and every week I kept track of only 3 key performance indicators: the number of new students, the number of workshops delivered, the number of students who didn't show up, the number of new workshops created, etc. I don't remember the fifth one, I think, but I was keeping track only of 5 key performance indicators, and therefore I was able to generate over $100,000 in revenue within 4 months. And I was working less than 2 hours per week. And so that shows you the power of having a system that can monitor and that can track results so that you can take action in time. So I was monitoring every week on a Friday afternoon. Okay, so let's talk about the framework. Whatever it is that you've been successful at, you've got to extract the key components. It could be 3 or 4 or 5 key components, but not more than 5 typically. So, for example, when I was teaching email marketing, and it was a college level course of 45 hours of classroom time over 15 weeks, I was able to extract 5 key performance indicators, and therefore students could use that framework to practice email marketing over and over again. Because without such a framework, they would learn concepts and principles, but they wouldn't have a structure that would guide their actions and their deliberate practice sessions. So, for example, the first pillar of email marketing is the price. In other words, you've got to have something to sell, and you got to charge at least like $1 or $5 or $10. The second pillar of email marketing is the list of people that you can invite to join your email list. The third pillar is O, or opt-in rate, and this is the percentage of people who visit your website and who opt in other words, who give you their name and email address. And so you want to monitor this opt-in rate and increase it over time. The fourth pillar is the sign-up rate, and this is when they sign up for a webinar or a consultation, etc. And finally, the last S stands for sales conversion, and this is the percentage of people who will actually buy something from you. Okay. And so this PLUS framework is a framework that basically anybody can use to teach email marketing. And so can you imagine that, instead of following a 15-week course in email marketing, you can just spend 2 hours with me or with an email marketing teacher, and you can teach in 2 hours. You can teach anyone to make money from email marketing as long as they keep track of, these 5 key performance indicators. So let's just take a look at how it works, and it's going to show you the power of having a framework. And this is just a framework, by the way. Don't forget, we have the 4 pillars, right? This is just a framework in the FARM method. So again, we're just talking about the framework. We're not talking about the specific actions. We're not talking about the results that you're tracking, and we're not talking about a system for monitoring, measuring, and managing results and processes. We're just talking about the framework. And so let's take a look at this framework so that you can see how practical and how useful. And when you have a framework like this, you can teach through a webinar. You can teach through an ebook or a textbook, which is more detailed than an ebook. You can teach through a video course. You can teach through live streams, through a membership site, etc. So can you see how a framework and even the entire methodology here allows you to create like a real information product empire? There's at least like over 100 info product formats. So each of these is really just a format. A webinar on Zoom or Google Meet is a format. An ebook is a format. A textbook is a format. And there are, like, I think at least 100 different information product formats. You can ask ChatGPT to list all the information product formats, but like even within a category, like an ebook, there are sub formats, right? It can be a novel. Many management or business authors, they create a novel that explains a particular concept in the form of a story. That could be one subcategory within the ebook category. That could be, I don't know, an SOP. This is what they call a standard operating procedures manual. It could be a troubleshooting manual. So within the context of email marketing, I could create a troubleshooting manual where people identify the problems that they have in email marketing and they can fix it. So an ebook can have, like, dozens of different formats. And so that's why this farm framework is so important. So when we look at framework for email marketing, I'm gonna show you in detail the framework or plus, so that you can see really how powerful it is. And so I'm just gonna use this table and actually apply the plus framework to email marketing. But in my case, it's email marketing. In your case, it could be, I don't know, coaching people who just went through a divorce, or helping someone with their job search. Whatever it is that you're knowledgeable about, you can create a framework. So here, the framework, it starts with price, and we have the list of invitables. So this is people that I can invite, and it's also the traffic per day. I'll talk more about that later on. The O stands for the opt-in rate. The first S stands for sign up rate, and here we're talking about events. And finally, the last one is sales conversion. And I've done research on email marketing, and I haven't seen any teacher talk about this. I haven't seen any book, training program talk about this, but this is really a powerful framework. And so the price, for example, let's say I'm selling a video course for $100. Okay, that's the price. But how many people can I invite to buy my video course, let's say on email marketing? No, sorry, I don't want to confuse you. This is email marketing. This is what I'm teaching. But the product can be something else. Let's say it's a product on job search, right? I want to help people to find, let's say it's a job search video course. It's a video course that teaches people how to find a job. So it's priced at $100, and let's say I can invite people. So let's say on LinkedIn, I have like 21,000 people. So that's the number of people I can actually invite, like one-on-one. I can send them an invitation through a message. The next one is how many people will join my email list, right? So let's say the percentage is 10%, because on my opt-in page, I tell them, look, if you enter your name and email address, you're going to be able to join my newsletter for free. I'm going to help you to find a job. So let's say 10% join, and therefore 10% of 21,000, that's 2,100. You know what? I'm just going to simplify so that we can calculate faster. And so out of 20,000 people who visit my website, my opt-in page, 2,000 will join, and they will become subscribers. So they get value for free. And sign up rate, out of the 10% or 2,000 subscribers, let's say that 300 attend a Zoom webinar where I'm just answering their questions, or it can actually be a webinar. And again, it's free. Okay, so you know what? Instead of 3%, I'm kind of lazy. Just put 2% at 200. Sorry, 200, so that we can class it. So 200 out of 2,000. Again, that's 10%. And out of the 200 who attend a Zoom webinar, because at the end of the webinar, I'm going to make a sales pitch. I'm going to say this is for attendees only. And instead of purchasing the video course that will reveal all the secrets for getting a job, instead of charging $100, I'm going to charge only, like, let's say $30 special. And from that special offer, let's say that only a percentage of people will actually buy. So it's a $30 special, and out of 200, let's say 20 people buy. Okay, so that's 20, so that's 10%. And that equates to 20 times 30. So it's a nice net profit of $600, which is pretty good. You know, think about it. You know, I'm giving a Zoom webinar of 1 hour. So this is a 1 hour webinar. And after 1 hour, I make $600, which is pretty cool when you think about it. You know, like, I don't know about you, but I don't often make that kind of money per hour. The maximum I could make per hour was $80. So this is pretty sweet. And I'm at home, I'm giving a webinar. And at the end of the webinar, where I'm actually helping 200 people, 20 will buy at $600. And they will buy because this is a special, right? It's only $30, and there's a satisfaction guarantee. So if they buy it and they don't like it, they can get a refund. So worst case scenario is, let's say they buy it, but let's say 5 people request a refund. So it means that, you know, I'm only selling to 15 people, right? So it's still 15 times 30. So I'm still, even after the refunds, I'm still making $450, which is pretty nice. And this is a webinar I could be making every day, because it's just 1 hour, or like 3 times per day, 3 times per week. So if I do this webinar Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, then I multiply it by 3, and therefore every week I'm making what is it, 12, 13, yeah, it's about $13,500 per week, which is pretty sweet when you think about it. You know, I'm just working from home, I'm doing the webinar, and I'm making, you know, over like $1,000 per week. So this goes to show you that to make that kind of money, and in this case it's a Zoom webinar, but it could be a product, you just have to focus on 5 key variables. The price. Obviously, if I sell, you know, at double the price, like 200, I'm gonna double this thing. If I have like 40,000 invitables, then I'm gonna double this one. If I double my opt-in rate to 20%, I'm gonna double this one. If I double to 20%, I'm gonna double this one. Same thing here. If I double the sales conversion, I'm gonna be making twice as much. So you can see that this is a very useful framework, right? Because my students can quickly take a look at all the variables, and they can tweak and they can improve each variable. And this by the way, it's not a percentage. 20,000 is an absolute number. So in the same way that the price is an absolute number. And so can you see how I was able to summarize a course at a college level of 15 weeks? I summarize it into a simple, you know, a simple framework that people can use for their business. And also, like, if they're email marketing consultants or teacher, they can teach it to other people. It's very, very simple. And to make it even more clear that it's a very simple and powerful framework, I'm just going to summarize it here for you, because I just want to show you the crucial importance of such a framework that has like 3 or 4 or 5 key variables, like the pillars, right? So here we have the price. I'm just going to put $100 here. And here we have the number of invitables. So these are actual people that you can reach and talk to. So that's an absolute number. Okay, so this is also absolute. And here we have the percentage of people who join my subscription list. Here we have again a number. It's a percentage of people who attend a specific event. And here we have the sales conversion. So essentially, we have like 2 absolute numbers here, the price and the number of people I can invite. And we have 3 percentages. So every time that, and here, of course, you have everything multiplied together. So we have P times L times O times S times S, and it gives us the revenue. So can you see how powerful this is? Like, this is, a way to manage your results in email marketing. And so if you can increase this or you can decrease it. You can increase this or decrease it. If for example, sales conversion of 2% is pretty good. Sign up rate 10% is pretty good. But opt-in rate 10%, that's pretty low. So you want to increase it to 20%. So you can offer a better lead magnet or, be more convincing. So you can see that this framework allows me to teach email marketing in so many ways: a webinar, an ebook, a novel, textbook, a video course, And so a framework is very crucial if you want to extract your most valuable knowledge. This is my most valuable knowledge that I can teach. The second item in the FARM framework is the actions. So I'm just going to put 2 here. This is the second thing that you have to teach your students, because it's not just theory. I could stop here and I could tell them, okay guys, just focus on plus and figure out all of this, but it would be just theory. Okay, so you want to get down to the action phase, where you're telling them what are the actions that you took in order to achieve the results that you did achieve, right? So let's switch to another example. Let's say in terms of what actions can you take in order to, let's say, in order to learn calligraphy? So I would say, first of all, you have to buy equipment. So I'm going to teach people how to buy different equipment, calligraphy. Second, this means pen, paper, etc. Second, you have to practice the letters in one family. So there's 5 different families. Third, you have to get feedback, let's say from me or any calligraphy teacher, or any calligraphy teacher. 4, you have to maybe observe your calligraphy and spot mistakes. Number 5, maybe just share your calligraphy with friends and family. And this is just a way for you to keep yourself motivated, because your friends and family, they're gonna go, wow, your calligraphy is great, and it drives you to continue to practice. And maybe 6, maybe set up weekly practice sessions with friends on Zoom, so that you keep the momentum, you develop the habit of practicing calligraphy. So it's more like a social thing. Women often like to do that thing. They socialize, like it can be in person. You meet at a coffee shop. So these are the actions that I would recommend if I were to teach people about calligraphy. And this is what, as a teacher, you have done yourself. And so you know that these are actions that will benefit students. And the results are super important here too, because, you want to show your results that you've been able to achieve. So for example, if you're teaching investing, you want to talk about, the return on investment on various stocks that you invested in. You can also, talk about mistakes that you've made, but also best practices. So you're sharing good results and bad results. You can also share other people's, including your students, other people's results. And the results here is really important. And I want to mention something when it comes to monetizing your knowledge. Knowledge is really not like abstract theories and classroom exercises, and even like case studies and stories. I mean, all of that could be and is useful, right, as a foundation. But okay, guys, sorry. Yeah, I was an interruption. That was an interruption. I had a phone call, very urgent. Okay. So, yeah, I was talking about the results. So it's important that you show clearly your results. And this is like a marketing or sales tactics, once you show your results and your potential students, they like your results and they're gonna be able to join your training. And so, you don't have to have like spectacular results as long as you have results that people would be interested in replicating. It's going to be fine. They're going to join your training program. And finally, you have to give them a way to monitor and measure their progress. So for example, like when I teach calligraphy, I will tell them, pay attention to each stroke that you're making, and then pay attention to the body shape. Sorry, this might be a little bit technical if you're not into calligraphy, but I'm going to show you later on. But it's just like, what should your students pay attention to? So for example, in the case of the email marketing, suppose you're teaching email marketing, I tell them to pay attention to the price. It has to be a good price, but not too expensive, not too cheap. Like if your price is just $10, well, that might not be a good product to sell through email marketing. Or pay attention to the number of people that you can invite to join your email list. Pay attention to the opt-in rate, and that means the lead magnet, the free gift that you're giving to people. Pay attention to the sales conversion, like how you're making your sales pitch, and pay attention to the quality of your webinar. So that's what you have to pay attention to. In other words, you have to monitor your results and your processes, the sequence of steps that you're taking. Yeah, so I think I'm going to stop here. But you know, the main thing about making money from your knowledge is that, what is the most useful knowledge that you have? And so, again, I just want to repeat, because oftentimes people have the wrong idea. They think that, oh, Peter, I've never given a college level course. I don't even know how to deliver a Zoom webinar. But it's really not about that. That is just the format or the container of your course, or your knowledge. What is most important is the content, the knowledge, right? So, like, think about your knowledge as, I know it's a very simple analogy, but think of your knowledge as milk, okay? And think of the webinar, course, ebook. That's just the container. Now, if somebody wants milk, well, they don't care in what container it comes from, whether it's a small container or a big container. They just want the milk, right? So your knowledge is milk. The milk is what nourishes what they're looking for. The container doesn't really matter. You can shape the container in any way that you want, any way that your students want. It can be small, it can be big, it can be a membership site. Like in my case, I offer for free all my file in my OneDrive folder. It can be a Google folder. That's flexible. What is most important is the milk, or the knowledge that your students find useful. Like, for example, I have like a lot of knowledge on, let's say, marketing, okay? But I'm not gonna, and I did make that mistake once. It's not a big mistake, but I was teaching a workshop on marketing, and it was called Marketing for Entrepreneurs, and it was a webinar. But marketing for entrepreneurs, that's good. It's not marketing for anyone. It's marketing for entrepreneurs. But it can even be more detailed, right? It could be like within marketing, I could say email marketing for entrepreneurs, or it could be email marketing for coaches. And it might not be email marketing, it might be social media marketing. So the rule here is that the more specific your knowledge is, the more specifically you define it, the more useful it's going to be for your people, for your prospects, because my prospects are either coaches or entrepreneurs or professionals. It's very specific. So the key here is to be specific about your most useful knowledge. And ultimately, the only way, or the best way, to validate whether your knowledge is defined in a useful way is just talk to people who might be interested. Talk to them like, would you like to learn from my social media marketing knowledge, or either email marketing? What is it that you would appreciate the most? And a second question here, like, once you identify your most useful knowledge, in a sense that it has been useful to you, so you cannot say that, oh, I read this book on the law of attraction and it seems interesting, I'm fascinated by it, and I'm going to teach it. Well, no, you have to ask yourself, the law of attraction, have you been able to use it? What were the actions you took? What were the results? And then you can teach it. So has it been useful to you, like specifically to you? A second question is, what knowledge has enabled you to make money? It's not always about money, by the way. Like, if you have good knowledge as a cook, you've been able to cook dishes that are delicious to you and your family. It's not about making money. You can cook, and therefore you can teach that. So what knowledge has enabled you to make money, or improve your life, or please others or help others or get some kind of benefits. It could be health. Like, for example, I was able to lose 20 pounds from intermittent fasting. And so that knowledge, which came to me thanks to my brother, was very useful. And you can see that, I mean, I'm not a health expert. I'm not an intermittent fasting expert at all. But I was able to achieve a result. So remember, result is one of the four requirements, right? Framework, actions, results, and manageability. So I was able to achieve a significant result I can actually prove it. So in 60 days, I did intermittent fasting for 14 hours per day. And yeah, I lost, I think, 20 pounds. So, I can actually, quote unquote, teach people how to do this and, help them by telling them at the beginning, it's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable, but you're going to get over it. So I'm a little bit like a coach, and they're going to be able to achieve similar results. Maybe not lose 20 pounds. I don't know. Maybe they're going to lose 10 pounds, but they're probably not going to lose 30 pounds over 60 days. But it's a process. It's a journey. So I can teach people how to do that. And so, and here, who are the people who could benefit? Obviously, like for intermittent fasting, it's people who are overweight. Like in Canada, 30% of the population is overweight. No, they're obese. Overweight is just a few extra pounds. Obese means like it's a medical condition. In the United States, 70% of people are overweight. And so that's the people who could benefit from my intermittent fasting workshop. What is your favorite way to share your knowledge? Well, in my case, it's probably a Zoom session. I'm a good writer, but to write an ebook, I mean, that's a lot of effort. So I can create a Zoom session. People can ask me anything about intermittent fasting. It could be a video course later on if I package all the Zoom session recordings. And so you can see that, even something simple like intermittent fasting, where I'm not even an expert by any stretch of the imagination, it's something that I did twice, and so I really understand the process. I got the results. I know the actions to take, and I know how to measure my results, because every day I would get on a scale and I would actually see my weight. And so I satisfy these four requirements. In terms of framework, I didn't really have a framework. I just followed a routine every day. I don't eat for 14 hours. And so you can see that even something like this, I'm a newbie. I'm absolutely a beginner. But I was able to achieve these results, which for a lot of people is a significant result, right? And so even for something like this, I can actually make money from this knowledge. I haven't tried it yet. I should. But it just goes to show you that, making money from your knowledge, it's not about being an expert. It's not about being a professor or a teacher. It's just about identifying the knowledge that you have that can actually feed, metaphorically, that can actually improve the life for somebody else. Yeah, I'm going to end it here because apparently I have an emergency with my family, but hopefully you've been able to see all the benefit that comes from, extracting your valuable